Let's make my husband's favorite meal, cabbage rolls. Here I'm just mixing 2 pounds of ground beef with 1 pound of hot breakfast sausage. I'm going to mix it together until you can't distinguish the sausage from the ground beef so that it's well blended. Next up, I'm going to add 2 cups of rice, and then I'm going to mix that in as well. I want to make sure that there are no clumps or lumps of rice that are bonded together. I want to mix it in well into my meat mixture here so that it leaves a nice texture, not hard like a baseball meatball in the middle of my cabbage rolls. Next up, I've got to get out our home canned goods and start putting them into the bottom of our roasting pan. So this is a quart of home canned tomatoes. Next up, I'll be adding 2 pints or 1 quart of our home canned kraut. As you can see, I'm dumping juice and the kraut brine and all into the roasting pan. Then I'll take my hands and go in and mix it around and start smushing it together to make a nice bottom layer of tomato and kraut on the bottom of our roasting pan as a bed for our cabbage rolls. Now, if you use our fermentation recipe and our tomato canning recipe, yours should taste just as good as ours does. I can't speak for store-bought things. As you can see here, we have our heads of cabbage steaming until the cabbage leaves will peel off easily using our tongs. And we want them to be nice and foldable, malleable, so that when we go to start packing our cabbage rolls full of the meat, it will be easy to do this. You're going to take off the layers of leaves 2 or 3 at a time and then replace the cabbage into the boiling water to allow the next few leaves to soften up and become malleable to remove them easily. Don't force it or you'll tear your cabbage leaves. See how easily these are coming off? This is how you do it. Next up, it's time to go ahead and start rolling the cabbage rolls. So I'm going to grab a little handful of that meat mixture and I'm going to squeeze it in my hand as you see I'm doing there. Then I'm going to place it into the cabbage leaf and I'm going to start rolling it into a nice little pouch. I'm going to place them into the roasting pan on top of that bed of tomato and kraut that I made earlier until my roasting pan is full and I'm out of the meat and cabbage leaves that you see. Now, there we have all of our cabbage rolls made. That's 2 layers deep in the roasting pan. I'm going to add another quart of our home canned tomatoes to the top, and then I'm going to smush them around with my hand like I did when we made the bed in the bottom of it. Next up, I'm going to come in with 2 pints or 1 quart of our home canned kraut that we fermented ourselves. Again, you can use our fermentation recipe and our tomato canning recipe if you want to have the same results as we do here. So I'm going to add that together, smush it around together to make a topping for the cabbage rolls. And I'm adding the brine, as you see. So this brine and the tomato juice makes a nice juicy sauce around the cabbage rolls. They are not at all sour as you would think they would be, but this gives them just the absolute best flavor. Tastes just like being at Mama's house. Next, you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees and place a nice tight foil tent on top of your roasting pan or the lid if you know where yours is. If you know me, you know that I rarely know where all my lids are. Next, we're going to place it into the oven with the foil cap or the lid on, and we're going to let it bake for 2 hours. Then, time to take it out, remove the foil, and start eating. We serve this up generally with some cornbread and macaroni and cheese. This is my husband's favorite meal.